Hey everyone, and welcome to Death By, where contestants will earn reps for their arguments or fear elimination. I'm your host, Lauren Kalil. Whoever I decide has the best arguments through the final round will stand on top of the podium and earn 30 seconds to talk about a topic of their choosing. On today's episode, we have our CrossFit analyst and announcer and a huge movie buff, Tommy Marquez from Talking Elite Fitness, the owner and head coach of Underdogs Athletics, and former musician, Justin Kotler, former team and individual CrossFit Games athlete, the basketball queen, and current CrossFit reporter, Jamie Hagia, and the 2008 CrossFit Games champion, Spirit of the Games winner, 8-time Games athlete, and founder of the affiliate NC Fit, Jason Khalipa. Here we go, guys. Let's play Death By. All divisions for quarterfinals are wrapped up, with individual athletes already accepting their semifinals invites and age group and teams still waiting for CrossFit to finalize the leaderboard. And while Masters athletes make up a large portion of participation, just 30 athletes advance from quarterfinals in each age group. So, should there in fact be more athletes moving on to semis? 30 seconds on the clock. Jason, you own an affiliate, and I'm sure you've coached plenty of age group athletes over the years. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yes, I think it depends on what CrossFit wants to do for the longevity of the sport. But if you think about it, more than 50% of participants are over that 30, 35 mark. So you're not there's a large majority of people that are in that category. My question is, how many people are going to go to the games? So if you have 30 people going to semis, my recommendation is, since only 10 go on to the games, I think they should increase that number from 10 to 20, let's just say, increase the number going to semis from 30 to 50 and get more of those people in. In addition, having the same amount of people going from 35 to 40 as you have 65 plus, I don't know if that actually works out, because a lot more attendees are competing at that lower age group number. So my recommendation is keep it higher for the lower age group, like the 35 to 40, and then maybe keep it the same for the 65 plus.
Jason earned himself 3 points in that round. Justin, let's go to you. You work mostly with individual athletes, but at your affiliate, I'm sure you see a lot of age group athletes. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually agree with Jason. I'm less concerned about the semifinals and more concerned about the games. We have 35 to 39, 40 to 44, 45 to 49 grossly underrepresented, at the games. We've seen historically athletes from 10 to 20 that finished in the old age group semifinals that podiumed at the games. The fact that we don't have 20 athletes in those respective divisions is ridiculous. So they need to take a look at that, and we've got to get some better representation for 35 to 49, or we're not getting the best athletes, and we may not be getting the fittest in those divisions at the games.
Justin received 3 points that round. Jamie, what is your take on this?
I think that they should increase it at least to the 40 mark, from 30 to 40. Remember the old regional format, there were 40 men and women that would go compete. And I think if we're talking about on a worldwide scale, they need at least 40, because with the open and the quarterfinals, you're having tests that maybe some of these athletes are in their wheelhouse, some of them are not. So I think you want a broader test when they finally get to the semis. So why not open it up? It's great for the sport. It's great for all the people that are competing if they make up a lot of the population of the athletes competing. So it's great for them, it's great for their communities, and it's just great for CrossFit all around to increase that number.
Jamie received 2 points that round. Tommy, would changing this add to more chaos than what people have been talking about when they want consistency over the years, or is this something that we should in fact see happen?
Well, I think there's a way to do both, match consistency with making some adjustments based off some of the points that the other people on this panel have said. We already have established 30 and 60, at least in this new year. So I think if we're going to follow in line with semifinals from year to year and follow this system, give athletes, coaches, and more people a chance to prepare and settle in, let's make the bigger divisions like the 35 to 39, the 40 to 44, maybe even the 45 to 49, 60 athletes, just like we do for Europe, North America West, and North America East. That way there's a precedent set for larger divisions and larger regions get more, and then the smaller ones adjust accordingly with 30 and 60 as kind of the core numbers.
At the end of round one, we have a two-way tie. We have Jason and Justin tied for first with 3 points each. And then coming in last from that round, Tommy and Jamie are tied with 2 points each, both of them on the chopping block because somebody will be eliminated after this round. Into topic number 2. On a recent YouTube episode of Training Think Tank, Masters athlete Kyle Ruth, he mentioned that it could be helpful if CrossFit specified to athletes which of their reps were no reps when receiving penalties. For example, Lauren Kalil didn't hit depth on her squat during wall balls at timestamps 103 and 714. Is this something that CrossFit should and could implement? For this round, we're putting 45 seconds on the clock. Jamie, we will let you start.
As a former athlete, I definitely think that they should specify the specific times. And just thinking about other sports, like my sport is basketball, right? When you get a foul, it's in the moment, you know exactly what you did. And that's, you can't argue it, or you can't, but when you're going through these video reviews, you're like a significant amount of reps, a small number of reps. When were they? What exactly were they? I think that would help out for the athletes, for the coaches. And then if they do need to come back and say like, hey, like I did open up, and then go to that specific mark, it'll save everyone a lot of time. And I definitely think that that's why they should have specific times for these penalties.
Jamie received 1 point in that round. Tommy, we'll move on to you. In theory, I think that we all would like this, but what could be some of the challenges that we could see by doing this?
Well, yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. In a vacuum, I would say yes. Typically speaking, detailed communications between HQ and athletes in these instances is always going to be great and something that we should advocate for. But in the end, if it delays the process of finalizing the leaderboard and getting penalty situations resolved quickly, then I'm honestly not sure if the juice is worth the squeeze until that can be avoided, because I think that starts to complicate the process a little bit. However, solutions oriented, I think a good starting point potentially, since we scale at CrossFit, we should be able to scale accordingly here, would be to at least identify 1 to 2 reps for the athletes that had minor penalties. That way we can have a starting point and not necessarily have to dive into the athletes that had tons of no reps where you have to nitpick and identify a bunch of them. Pick the athletes who only had a few issues. You can drop those in, test that out with over 300 minor penalties. I think that's a good starting point, at least, to eventually roll this out.
Tommy earned himself 3 points for that round. Justin, how could this specifically help you and maybe other coaches out there if this was implemented?
Yeah, this would be massive for coaches. And, I'm at the point now where I don't want excuses anymore. I want solutions. And it's been really topsy-turvy since we started this whole video analysis process and video review process. It's been a bit of a shit show. And the truth is, if they're going to do it, they're gonna dole out this many penalties, then they need to be more specific to the athletes. They need to let you know what you're doing wrong, when you're doing it wrong, so that you can go and see it. I mean, we ultimately had 3 or 4 athletes that received major penalties. We went back in, we reviewed, we appealed. Every single one of them won their appeal. But at the end of the day, if they just would have let us know what the specific no reps were, it would have made the process so much easier, and it would also help the athlete. Right now, I don't want excuses. I want solutions.
All right, Jason, how do you think that this could be implemented if you do, in fact, agree with it?
I mean, here's the thing. In theory, it's all great. In practical application, it's very difficult. And when you're thinking about the game season, 50% of it is online, right? So if you're going from, there's so much that's riding on these online, from the videos to the score to the judge validation. I do think I agree with pretty much everyone where if you are going to call out and say, hey, you missed a rep, I think it's really important to justify which rep did they miss and why did they miss it? Because otherwise it's just like, there's no accountability there. I think that's a really big problem. That also being said is look at that from a logistics perspective for CrossFit. You have hundreds of thousands of people putting in, submitting these results. How are you going to possibly scale that? And then on top of that, how are you going to be able to scale it, giving specific examples of what someone did wrong? So I think maybe there's a way to community this. Maybe there's a way to group source this. Maybe there's just a different way of looking at it. But ultimately what's happening in the sport is that you went virtual. You chose to go virtual to scale. I get that. but now there's some downsides because of all the things we're talking about right now. So they might need to be innovative to figure out how can they scale the judging process, because right now it's not scaled the right way, in my opinion. I think maybe they could utilize L1 trainers, maybe they could utilize some type of group consensus. I don't quite know how to do it, but HQ needs to fix this for the longevity of the sport, in my opinion.
Jason, some great ideas. I would have given you a couple more points, but I actually had to deduct 1 point because you went a little too long over your time there.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, you're going to give us all 1:30 every single time or what? You know what I mean? The gift of the gab over there, Jason. My God.
You know what?
I don't have a button yet to
right here.
deduct points. Jason and Justin tied for 6th. We have Tommy Marquez in 2nd with 5 points. And I'm sorry, Jamie Hagia is our first contestant eliminated with only 3 points. Jamie,
bring you next week.
Until next time, in 2 weeks, we'll see you come back.
That's right. Get ready, boys.
Going into round 3, we will clear the scores, so it is a fresh start for everybody. CrossFit, they recently published individual penalties and score adjustments, and the list was quite extensive. What do you guys think this influx says about the sport? This time, we have 1 minute on the clock. Jason, we're going to let you start. We'll see if you can stay within that 1 minute time frame.
So I got the
stopwatch, bro. There you go.
I started it right now. This is unbelievable.
In the corner.
What does the influx of penalties and score adjustments say about the sport? I think it just says that it's moving in the right direction to to professionalize. It's a growing sport. It's been growing in terms of, it's a young-ish sport. And so over time, evolution is not always going to be perfect. And I think ultimately that's what CrossFit's recognizing right now, is that they want to scale, they want to grow. But as they do that, the question becomes, there's going to be some pitfalls and some hurdles you're going to have to overcome. So yes, with over half the season online, I think that they're taking validation and fairness a lot more seriously. I think it's a positive overall, and they're just going through some growing pains. I mean, obviously guys like Hiller and others bring awareness to, the inconsistencies and things of that nature. But that is with any sport that is growing. I think that in the next year or two, CrossFit, especially with all the changes in the past couple of years with sanctionals and regionals and semifinals and this and that, I think they need to level it out, allow the, I hit a minute. I was getting fired up
Jason,
too.
you did it.
All right, as long as I don't lose time for that. Okay. What does it say? It says that it's a sport. It's not an exciting answer, but as long as you have rules, you will have athletes that are pushing the limits of performance in a way that's going to bring them dangerously close to, and sometimes over the line of breaking those rules. As participation grows, so will the number of penalties, because you're also going to have new athletes introduced to that fold that maybe aren't as familiar. And it will always be CrossFit's responsibility to clearly define the rules. It'll be the athletes and coaches to try responsibly adhere to those rules. And then if something happens, CrossFit's responsibility to regulate, rest in peace, Warren G, within those rules. There's always going to be a dance of more or less penalties based on the movements included, the subsequent complaints and regulation. The average NBA game averages a foul a minute, and that's even without them looking at those egregious traveling calls that are a part of the sport now. It's a debate and conversation we're going to have every year, and it's just inherent to sport at this time.
Justin, I know you're itching to give your opinion on this one. We'll put a minute on the clock for you. Let's hear it.
Well, I think the answer here is twofold, and I think CrossFit bears a lot of the responsibility. I think that we need clearly defined standards. I'll be honest with you, very contradictory standards this year in many cases, and in the past as well. And this is a much bigger problem. I think this you need clearly defined standards at the beginning of the year, whether it's a movement manual, whether it's a video manual, something that clearly defines all the movements that you're going to see. Because if you don't have that, now you've got an issue for the athletes, and you've also got an issue for the judges. And then obviously athletes are going to ride that line, man. This is, they're looking for any edge possible when competing to win. And this is a sport, and it's only getting, money's on the line, sponsorship on the line. You're going to have people that are constantly looking for an edge. And so if we don't have clearly defined standards, you're going to see people who are riding that line, and then you're going to see the influx of penalties. And that's just part of the deal.
All right, boys, you all earned 3 points in that round, and now somebody must be eliminated. Even though Jamie is gone, she holds the power and the control.
Ooh, I love
Who
it.
do you want to see on the chopping block, Jamie?
Oh, Lauren, this is terrible. Oh man, I thought they were all really great points. I think I'm eliminating someone.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna send.
I'm giving
I
you
think I'm
the power.
sending Justin's going to the championship round. Oh, and I'm gonna go with let's go Tommy. Sorry, Jason.
Oh man,
She apparently didn't like you going over your 45 seconds before, bro.
I guess not.
They were great points. They were great points. They were really, really great. It was hard.
I'm sorry, Jason. Your time on the show today, it's come to a close unless there's another tie, and then we're gonna need you to break that tie. So don't go too
Oh
far.
boy. All right, I won't go too far.
Last week, Ricky Garard, he announced that his 2023 CrossFit Games season was officially over after rupturing his AC joint and suffering from shoulder damage in a mountain biking accident. Ricky has a ton of momentum after recently winning Wadapalooza and was a potential serious threat to the podium at the Games this season. So what does this mean for the rest of the men's field to have him out? Justin Kotler as his coach, we are going to let you start with this one. You get a minute on the clock here.
Oh, you're breaking my heart here, Lauren. This is a tough one, guys. Obviously, as his coach, and you know, I love Ricky. This is brutal, and it's obviously brutal for Ricky. But when we talk about what it means for the sport and the men's field, honestly, I think it's a massive hit. I think it sucks for the sport. I think you're talking about one of the guys who very seriously was pushing for the top of the podium. You know, obviously, I'm going to say that I think he was going to win this year. He's in the best form I've ever seen him. But just, you know, not being able to have Roman and Ricky and Justin, you know, last year it was heavyweight blows. Those three guys were hitting each other with, and we're not going to get to see that. And it's really sad. On a positive, we are going to get to see a few new athletes from Torian without Baden Brown and without Ricky. You're going to see a couple guys, maybe some of these new guys come in, a few new names, which is exciting for the sport. But honestly, I think you've taken one of the top three guys out of the sport for the season. It's a big hit to the sport, guys.
Tommy, what's it mean for the men's field?
Obviously, a spot on the podium opens up, in my opinion, on the men's side. But, you know, more importantly, some really significant earning opportunities for individual athletes on the men's side. You take the spot on the podium and what that brings from prize purse. But remember, he had 2 more event wins and 3 additional events on top of that where he earned those extra top placement bonuses at the games. And that was something that was consistent across all the live competitions. He had multiple top 3 finishes at Rogue and Wadapalooza. And then you take a look at how Rogue has typically operated in terms of inviting the top games athletes. If a new person from Oceania or a new person is able to jump into the top 15, top 10, that's a potential invite to the Rogue Invitational, which is another great earning opportunity for a lot of these athletes. So it's a heartbreaking to see Ricky out for the season and obviously miss a chance to maybe push for the top spot and resume that battle with Roman from Wadapalooza and the battle with Roman and Justin from last year's games. But there is some, you know, some cash money on the line that some new people could potentially grab.
All right, 3 points to each of you for that round. We're going to put an additional 10 seconds for both of you to give one final hit and punch before we get into our final round. Tommy, you can start this time.
I think this is just going to be an even better story for next year when Ricky does come back. Now that we have the loss of not getting to see it pick right back up, and then hopefully have Roman and Justin and some newcomers have a little bit more momentum for next year.
All right, Justin, 10 seconds. Last punch for you.
Yeah, this adds to the to Ricky rewriting his legacy and creating his new legacy. The guy is the comeback kid, let's be honest. And this is just going to be another one of those incredible comebacks.
Ooh, I like that. Very similar answers. Justin, I wanted to give you this round because you're Ricky's coach and all, but Tommy said it first, the comeback story, but Justin had the line of the comeback kid. We will let Tommy have 4 points heading into the last round. Justin, 3 points heading into the last round. Here is for all of the marbles. This year, the CrossFit Games, they will crown a new fittest team on earth, a new fittest woman on earth, but will they crown a new fittest man on earth? 1 minute on the clock. This is round 5 for all the marbles. Tommy Marquez, what do you think?
Honestly, I think no. And I think Ricky's absence will be a big reason why, and it has less to do with the other athletes than it has to do with Justin. I do think Roman will have an opportunity to wear the white leaders jersey, and I do think it could even come down to that final event, like we have seen in previous years with the point spreads being even closer. But one of the reasons why we had such a great race last year was that the athletes in the top 5 consistently had opportunities to pick up points on Justin. Skill, speed, medley, up and over, hat trick, sandbag ladder. Those were the only 4 events where someone in the top 5 didn't manage to pick up some points and gain some ground on Justin. And of the remaining 10 events, in 5 of those events, it was Ricky that was pushing Justin down the leaderboard and giving some opportunity for other people to make up some ground on the points table. And you factor in too that the person joining from Oceania now might not be as accomplished as Ricky on some of those games level events. And I just see less opportunity on an event to event basis, unless something crazy happens at semifinals, for people to maybe try and push Justin down as the man to beat, especially given how well he picks up steam as the weekend goes along.
All right, Justin, here we go. Tommy just got 2 points in that round for all the marbles. Let's hear it.
Well, I'm going to respectfully disagree with Tommy, and I'm going to take the field. I think Justin's a phenomenal athlete, but I don't think we're going to see a three-peat. We saw Ricky lead for the majority of the games last year. Obviously Justin won, but I think that field is really close. We saw Pat Vellner come unbelievably close, like one jerk away from beating Justin at Rogue. And if you could have seen what I saw with all the other athletes watching that, how badly they want to beat Justin and how badly they don't want this guy to get on a Matt Frazier, Rich Froning roll, the way that they were talking, the focus that all of these athletes are coming in with to make sure that that doesn't continue to happen. Plus, we've seen it historically. Justin is not a home run hitter. He's very consistent. But you know what? If you get a guy like Roman, a guy like Pat, a guy like Lazar, Jason Hopper, some of these guys, they can hit home runs. And if they can create consistency during the week, they can knock them off.
All right, the end of that round, Justin with 3 points, Tommy with 2, with an accumulation of 6, 4, 5, 6. A tie again. We have to bring back Mr. Khalipa.
Oh man.
Really?
The guy who ends up wielding all the power. I love it.
I'll see myself out now. It's okay.
Oh man. Well, Tommy, you and I have had a long relationship, so I don't feel as bad about this. I'm going to go with Justin on this. I think that he had some good clarity. I also think, obviously, as Ricky's coach, like, you're uniquely positioned for this conversation, of course. So I think that because of that, and it goes to you. So you're the first winner, I guess, on this.
Yes.
Nice. The podium pedestal goes to Justin Kotler. He has now earned 30 seconds on the clock for any topic of his choosing. State your case, tell us what you want to talk about, and begin.
Yeah, so this is near and dear to my heart. I'm just going to shout out a little bit about the adaptive division. There have been some issues with CrossFit taking out semifinals, which served as some divisions of the games last year, but they've yet to finalize the leaderboard or announce the winners. They've also rewritten qualifying standards to try to make sure the degree of impairment is consistent as possible, but there's been a lot of inconsistency and communication there. CrossFit, get your shit together, man. Don't treat these divisions like second-class citizens. This is very important for all of us. These are some of the most inspirational athletes in the sport. Get your shit together and make sure that we treat these adaptive divisions correctly.
Justin Kotler, congratulations on winning our second episode of Death by. The first episode with Tommy Marquez, Jamie Hagia, Jason Khalipa, and Justin Kotler. Guys, thank you so much. Justin has a target on his back now. I think the rest of the contestants want
I'm okay
redemption.
With that, man. I like it.
Let's go.
Thank you all so much for joining us. Make sure that you stay tuned with everything that we have on our YouTube channel, from our Death by episodes to our studio shows. Follow us on Instagram. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube, Patreon. You know where to find us, and we will see you guys next time.